One of the things I thought was interesting is you said that BMI is actually a better predictor of disease than body weight. Why would that be?
Yeah, well, because so BMI, in fact, there's even a better predictor beyond BMI, and that's probably kind of waist circumference, or the ratio between waist circumference and height, because not all body weight is the same, and that it's the abdominal fat, this visceral fat, the fat that's wrapped around and inside your organs, your internal organs, that is the most dangerous fat in terms of increasing our risk for chronic disease. Now, some people, fat is fat. For people who just want to lose weight, whether you're losing it off your thighs or your belly, it doesn't matter to people. But in terms of disease risk, it's actually critical and so the fat under your skin, the subcutaneous, the cellulite types of fat, that's less dangerous than the fat that's kind of around your intestines. Giving people these kind of hard protruding bellies, which you see kind of typical of male obesity. That's the worst kind of fat. And so by measuring waist circumference, you can get a better sense of the distribution of fat throughout the body. And of course, just straight body weight doesn't tell you anything, because you can be older, younger, taller, shorter, and you could be, a fine body weight for someone who's 6 foot, but you're only 5'5". That's not such a good thing.
Well, there seems to be a push for like a health at every size movement. And yet we know that there are so many diseases that are linked to obesity. So do you think it's possible to be overweight or obese and still be healthy? Or are you greatly increasing your risk for so many of these chronic diseases?
It's interesting. I was looking through all that health at every size literature, and, I think it comes from a very poignant place, and that is this epidemic of weight stigma, whether it's in society in general or the medical profession itself, in terms of the discrimination and just the nastiness that gets thrown. And so there's been this kind of the backlash, saying, look, people should not be treated unfairly or discriminated against just because they're weight. Absolutely. But then they've taken that next step and said, oh, and by the way, it's not even that unhealthy. And unfortunately, the science does not bear that out. In fact, our obesity is the reason why we're actually seeing a reversal of the trend of longevity. The reason our kids are likely going to live shorter lives than we are is because of the obesity epidemic, increasing risk of diabetes and fatty liver, and kind of on down the list. So I'm going to have a chapter talking about the so-called obesity paradox, and so I'm going to talk about weight stigma and how horrible it is. But the science is the science. It's just unhealthy to be this way. Now, at any particular weight, you can smoke or you can not smoke, right? At any particular weight, you can exercise or not. At any particular weight, but it would be better to not smoke and be ideal body weight. So there's certainly things you can do, but we really should try to bring our weight down. And it's not just kind of these chronic diseases, even joint pain, osteoarthritis of the knees, low back pain. There's a lot of conditions that are conclusively linked to excess body weight.
So what are the diseases that are so linked to being overweight or obese?
Well, you can talk about the ABCs of health consequences. A is for arthritis. Obesity can worsen rheumatoid arthritis. Another inflammatory joint disease, the so-called disease of King's gout, gouty arthritis, osteoarthritis attacking of the knees. B is for back pain and blood pressure. C is for cancer. As many as 3/4 of people don't realize that there's a link between obesity and cancer, but the latest comprehensive review, 1,000 studies, excess body fat actually increases risk for most cancers: esophageal, stomach, colorectal, liver, gallbladder, breast, pancreatic, uterine, ovarian, kidney, brain, etc., on and on. D is for diabetes. Obesity is the single most important risk factor for development of type 2 diabetes. E is for encephalopathy, and I talk about the cognitive deficits associated with obesity. F is for fertility, or infertility would be more likely. G is for gallstones and GERD, which is gastroesophageal reflux disease. H is for heart disease, the number one killer of men and women. I is for immunity, actually impairs your immunity. J is for jaundice because of the increased risk of liver disease, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. K is for kidneys, increasing risk of chronic kidney disease. And I could go on and on. Even there's an X. There's it has to do with the xiphoid process. L is for lung function. M is for metabolic syndrome. On and on.
That's absolutely incredible. So, I mean, how much weight do we have to lose to be bulletproof against all these diseases?